Hey bookish people, it is Misty from the Book Rat, and today I have an awesome interview with Rachel Hartman, the author of Seraphina, which is going to be out on the 10th, so almost in stores, and when it is, you should go pick it up because it is fantastic. I have reviewed it, I will leave the link below, but basically my review is a million thumbs up, like just all over the place. So good. Rachel was good enough to sit down with me many states away, so we're gonna go kind of back and forth in an awesome interview, and just to whet your appetite, there is singing. So I will get right into it.
Hi Misty, I am super happy to be here and answer your questions.
What inspired you to write Seraphina, and how much did it change from that initial inspiration?
Wow, that's tough because a lot of things inspired Seraphina. One of them was my family situation. My parents split up when I was about 30. A young thing of 30, and it shook me up, and that was the spark of the idea of what if you married someone that you didn't know what they were. In addition to that, music has been a great inspiration. Neurology, neuroscience has been an inspiration. A lot of fantasy that I've read, and my great interest in the Middle Ages and history, so it comes from everywhere. The way it's changed over time, honestly, is that, the book started out very kind of a small, intimate story set in an enormous, gorgeous world. And my agent, my editor, various people along the way have kind of prodded me and said, can we make the story as big as the world? And that took some doing, but I think I finally made it.
Seraphina has been getting really positive buzz so far. What's it been like to see the reactions and the feedback start to roll in?
It has been really gratifying, I tell you what. Just the idea that people are looking at my stuff that I've written and taking it to heart and understanding it in different ways, and in ways that are different than my understanding of it, I get new insights into it from other people looking at it, so that's really fun for me.
Tell us a bit about the world building. Did you have to do a lot of research? Did you draw yourself maps? Cover the house in post-its? What went into building Seraphina's world?
The world building. See, I'm a compulsive builder of worlds, I have this little hammer, and I just, I can't stop doing this. A long time ago, when we lived in Chicago, I worked at Powell's bookstore, which was a used bookstore and that specialized in scholarly books. There were a lot of medieval books came in and out of there, and I bought those things. My husband kept having to say to me, the reason you have a job is to bring home money, right? Not to bring home books. So I'd bring home some books for him, and then he'd be happier. But, I accumulated a very large pile. At my going away present there, they gave me this 3-volume set called The Plan of St. Gall, which was about a medieval monastery plan. And some guys, this was their labor of love for their whole life, was they did this 3-volume set, a detailed analysis of this medieval plan. So I have a lot of medieval books, and you get to the point where your house is full of books, you got to do something. And so writing a book with some of the information that I had gathered over the years seemed like a logical step.
In Seraphina, dragons find emotion a sickness and love a disease. What was it like trying to craft these characters and pull emotion out of it? Was it a struggle to get into the dragon mindset?
It was less of a struggle than you might think. Emotions are an interesting subject, and something that I have also done a lot of research on in my own self and in reading. My son, when he was about 4, was assessed because his teacher couldn't figure out what his deal was. She thought he was autistic or something. He's not. But we went through this whole assessment process, and as we did, I was reading book after book, on ADHD, on sensory processing disorder, and learning about brains and about how, with sensory processing disorder in particular, that's a really interesting thing for me. What that essentially means is that the filter in people's minds, in everyone's mind, is different. That, how some people find their clothes really itchy or noises really loud, and they strike everyone differently. And so the idea that was possible, that it was so individual that way, gave me this idea that, to explore what it would be like to be a dragon in human form. And so that was really the origin of that in some ways, it was going to be, you'd have a different set of senses than you were used to. They would have different aptitudes. They wouldn't have as keen eyesight, for example, as when they were in dragon form. They wouldn't be able to smell like when they were in dragon form. But other things would be more sensitive, skin, ears, and so that was a lot of the thinking behind that. And emotions, if they as a species were not emotional when they were in dragon form, what would that be like to be suddenly bombarded with all these different brain chemicals, and how would they learn to regulate that? Because that's a problem humans have, right? There are people who have different abilities to regulate their senses and emotions, different levels, and there are different strategies that humans employ. And so for me, it was really fun. I mean, it was an exploration of, trying to picture what it would be like. Here are these emotions, what do you do? I have emotions that are big, right? I think we all do. And sometimes you don't know what to do, and you have to figure out strategies for calming yourself down, or, So it was I think, just an extension from explorations I was doing in my own life anyway.
If dragons had a favorite song, which would not inspire emotion, of course, but which they would appreciate with their mathematical minds, what would it most likely be?
Well, I suppose the obvious answer would be that they would like Bach and fugues. But privately, I suspect that if dragons were here now, they would all be really big Rush fans, and they would like the song Natural Science, which deals with, science.
And lastly, if you were to design propaganda-style posters and slogans for human-dragon peace, give us an idea of what they would look like, or what those slogans would be.
That is a really good question. Oh my goodness. It opens up so many possibilities. I'll tell you, it's easy from the dragon side. They would have to blaze it into the hillside. You'd have a glacier and you'd write it with fire. Humans, they're not for breakfast anymore. On the human side, though, the Goreddies, I think, are pretty superstitious people. I think posters are not going to do it. You're going to need to get at them in a different way that they will appreciate more. And have sort of, public service announcements. If you see a dragon, if you suspect your neighbor might be a dragon, what do you do? And I was thinking, because yesterday when we were walking around New York, we saw these Renaissance singers just singing out in the middle of the street, and I thought to myself, that might work. You'd have singers on street corners, and they would sing something like, "Oh, dragons don't cause rabies, and they won't eat your babies, fa la 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 la." See, and as long as you have enough fa-la-las, then everybody say, "Oh, yes, fa-la-las," and then everything's okay.
Thanks so much, Rachel, for stopping by. This was a fantastic interview. It was great having you. For all the rest of you, if I haven't pushed Seraphina on you yet, first of all, you're lying, because I've pushed it on everybody. It's fantastic. But I will take this opportunity now to push it on you again. Go pick this up, whether it's from your library, whether it's from a bookstore, whether you just got a friend who's got a lot of books like me. Pick it up. It is so fantastic, well worth your time. Easily one of my favorite reads so far this year. Thanks for watching, check out my review, and as always, happy reading! Seraphina in stores July 10th.